Dom and I are back with another mock draft Monday where I'm going to bust his balls all show long being a Monday morning quarterback.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by Locked On Podcasting Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane, here with my co-host, Dominic Martino. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below. It'll subscribe you to the channel, and it'll also give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, please, if you can, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify. And if you do, you might as well join our subtext platform where you can send us a screenshot of that review, and it'll give you a chance to join our listener league. We're going to be giving away 4 at a time on 2 different dates, March 6th, March 20th. So you want to do that, get in there. And also, too, you don't want to miss out on all those great benefits of joining our subtext with our rankings, sleepers, breakout, bust, prospect rankings, and so much more. Plus, you can ask us questions about how you should construct your team rankings, and so much more. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. First $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And we got a good one. Another exercise of mock draft Monday where now Dom beat me up last week. So now I'm going to beat him up. But first, I'm going to give him a chance to explain himself on this draft. So let me pull that up, and then I'm going to let Dom talk and, talk about this team.
Yeah, guys, so if you're watching on YouTube, you see we got the team pulled up here. If you're listening on the audio end, we're going to read you off this roster in a second. I picked from the 8-spot, 12-man league, a standard head-to-head, 5x5 categories league, all the major categories. That's what Matt and I's rankings are based on too. So if you hear us referring to our rankings today, our rankings are based off of 5x5 head-to-head categories league. So let's get into this roster. Once again, picked from the 8-spot. I got Mitch Garver as my catcher. I got Vinny Pasquantino at first, Bryson Stott at second, Austin Riley at third, O'Neill Cruz as my shortstop. As my 3 outfielders, I have Fernando Tatis Jr., Michael Harris, Adolis Garcia. My 2 utilities, I have Marcell Ozuna and Christopher Morel. Get into that starting rotation. I have Blake Snell. I have Eury Perez. I have Bobby Miller, Sonny Gray, Ryan Pepio, Aaron Savale, Nestor Cortez, and Christopher Sanchez as my closers. I picked up Tanner Scott, Jose Alvarado, Yuki Matsui, and my 2 bench hitters, I have Jared Kelnick and I have Wyatt Langford. So I started off this draft once again for the 3rd time from the 8th spot. My first pick was Tatis. Honestly, I was a little bit shocked he fell to me there. I thought that was great. I love to start my draft with outfielders. Outfielders is probably the thinnest position this year, and I know Matt feels the same when it comes to outfield. My next pick, I actually picked somebody that we've been talking about a lot recently. We've been talking about Austin Riley, and somebody I haven't really gotten a lot on my team, so I said, you know what, let me put my money where my mouth is. Let me take Austin Riley. Obviously, he does everything besides steal bases very, very well. Love to get him, my second pick. Then I went Michael Harris after that. Need a little bit more speed, a little bit batting average there. Love that. And that allowed me to take Adolis Garcia with my pick after that because I feel like I had batting average very, very well locked up. I could take somebody, doesn't have a crazy high batting average, but is going to give me, a lot of power production, and he's going to be, in the middle of that Texas lineup that won the World Series last year. I really liked that pick. Then at that point, you really have to turn around and, start grabbing starting pitching. I got Blake Snell. I think I went Blake Snell, and then let me pull this up real quick. I'll tell you exactly what I did. You have it there, Matt?
Yeah.
I took Blake Snell in the 5th. I believe I took him in the 5th, right?
Yep.
And then did I go back-to-back starting pitching, or who did I take next?
You went Cruz and then Eury Perez.
Okay, yeah. So then I took O'Neal Cruz in between Blake Snell because you know what? I kind of just love the value on O'Neal Cruz. If you listen to any episodes pretty much this year where we talked about O'Neal Cruz, the value is crazy on him right now, coming off the board as the 13th shortstop. Crazy value there for O'Neal Cruz, who can honestly be a 5-category contributor. Not banking on it, but you know where he's going, I think you're getting great value. Then I hop back in, and then did I do Eury and Bobby? That's where I think I double tapped it, right?
Let's see.
Yeah, I think I went Eury Perez and Bobby Miller back to back. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
you did. You triple tapped.
I triple tapped, right? And then I went Sonny Gray too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, so here's the thinking behind that. Honestly, I'm not loving the Blake Snell pick. I really think he's like the last SP1. Honestly, I really want to see where he signs. It's getting very late into, not late into spring training, but late into the offseason where I don't like he doesn't have a home yet. If it keeps trending that way, I'm probably going to start fading him a little bit more. But then I wanted the two guys with upside. I think Eury Perez has the upside to be a top, 15, 20 starting pitcher. And I feel the same about Bobby Miller. I knew this staff wasn't going to be a super reliable staff. So I said, you know what? I'm going to play the upside game, but I still wanted to get that stabilizer in. That's why I took Sonny Gray there. After that, I think I think I went back into my bats, right, Matt? Didn't I hop back into bats after that? Did I go Ozuna or Stott there, I believe?
You went Stop.
I went
Stop, and then Vinny P.
Oh yeah, Stott and Vinny P. You guys know I love Bryson Stott. The steals are going to be good, decent batting average. The counting stats are going to be a little suspect. I think he's going to hit like 5th or 6th in that lineup, so the RBI should be pretty good. He had 15 home runs last year. I'm not expecting anything more than that in that department, so I think he's going to be good. Vinny Pasquantino hurt last year, has all the upside in the world. Honestly, I think he's going to be good in 4 categories out of the 5. I think batting average, runs, homers, and RBIs are going to be good for Vinny P. So I think once again he's one of those last first baseman I think you could really take and be safe. I think I have him ranked as my 13th first baseman right now. So, right there, right outside that top 12. Then with the rest of my rotation, once again, kind of just played the upside game here. I played the upside game with Pepio. We all saw what they did last year with Zach Eflin. I think he's going to have a monster year there in Tampa. Same thing with Darren Savale. Same argument there with both of them. Nasty Nestor's healthy. They already announced he's healthy. I'm waiting for him to make a spring training debut. That's when I definitely have to watch. And Christopher Sanchez, I think he's going to secure up that last spot in the Phillies rotation. I think he's going to be very, very good. My closers, Tanner Scott, actually had a monster last year, 73 innings, 100 plus strikeouts. The ERA and whip looked very good. I think he's going to have the job there in Miami. A lot of close games for them. They're not a horrible team, not a great team, so I think it's going to be a lot of close games, a lot of save opportunities for Tanner Scott. Jose Alvarado started the year off last year like a monster. I don't think they've officially announced the closer there in Philly, but I'm kind of banking on him getting the job there. And then Yuki Matsui, somebody that Matt and I were talking about yesterday, pitched on the first game in spring training, struck out the side, looked absolutely dominant. The breaking stuff looked good. I think I moved him up to 17, 16 at closer. I think he's going to run away with the job. That's literally all he did, before he came over to the States. And then I went Kelnick and Langford. I picked Langford on purpose, actually. Kelnick we've talked about a lot with that Braves team now. I think he has a lot of upside. But with Langford, somebody that we haven't really talked about, was picked this year in the draft. Very, very high-end prospect. Had a monster season in the minors last year. Got the invite to spring training. I think this is a kid that can make the team. And if Wyatt Langford makes this Texas team, honestly, he's going to fly up draft boards. So I think he's somebody you should be looking at, get yourself familiar with the name Wyatt Langford and kind of just deep dive into him, somebody that I'm really digging on, and I'm going to be moving up my rankings as spring training goes on if he keeps looking good. But real quick, guys, before Matt jumps into this and absolutely, destroys it, breaks it down, and, does his thing, we have a quick ad break for you guys. And guys, we're talking about FanDuel. Get buckets with FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And guys, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. And guys, lastly, and the one that means the most to Matt and I, we're once again breaking back out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Dive into the offseason with Matt and I as we provide our tiered rankings with over 100 outfielders and starting pitchers. You'll also have exclusive access to our prospect insights, sleepers, breakouts, busts, and personalized draft grades. When you guys have burning questions, we've got the answers. As the season unfolds, rely on us for dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. Whew. All right, Matt, that's a lot for me. I know you're chomping at the bit. I know the haterade is flowing. So let's get into it, brother. Let's hear your thoughts on this team.
I actually finished a whole glass waiting
Oof.
on
Oh
this.
Lord, not liking this.
Monday morning quarterback time is so much fun. Anybody that's not familiar with that reference, it's somebody always complaining in the next morning after Sunday. They could have did this.
I could have went out there and threw for
Yeah.
3 touchdowns and 250 yards.
Yeah, pretty much sounding like Stephen A. Smith on a daily.
I was gonna use the Al Bundy reference. If anyone here knows Married with Children, that's a throwback. That's for you old heads.
Yeah. So, it's one of those deals, but let's bring up the team again. Let's really do this thing. I kicked him off the screen.
Jeez, was the draft that bad, Matt? I don't even get to be on screen anymore.
Kind of.
Jeez,
No, I'm
guys.
kidding. Okay, I like the team as a whole. It has a lot of my guys. It's just a matter of team construction, and also too, just like I'm starting to notice starting pitchers creeping up in ADP.
Yeah, man, I'm not liking it.
And also too, I'm starting to feel uneasy, like you said about Blake Snell. So ultimately, I think I would have done things a lot different because what I've been finding with myself when I'm drafting, right? So second round, I can nitpick and say, oh, okay, you picked Austin Riley. I would have been Bryce Harper. I'm not gonna, really get you there. But I guess you didn't watch that episode when I was talking about Michael Harris, with his price being too high. I won't draft him in the third round. As with all the upside in the world and the highest ceiling, I don't think he's worth a third round pick. His floor is so low at this point that I just don't feel it's a safe pick. And I want somebody a little bit safer or somebody that's even better. Like the only person that I'm willing to take a risky pick on in that round is Ellie De La Cruz, and he went well before your pick. So like my pick,
I would have had him. That's my dog.
right. Honestly, my pick would have been Altuve, or I actually would have went and scooped up Adolis early, because you only had about 8 picks in front of you. So before I got back to you, so I probably just would have went Adolis, who I have ranked higher anyway. And then that's where I would have tapped where you picked Adolis. I would have tapped and I would have gotten a starting pitcher there. Zach Gallen went, Yoshida went, Lopez went, who I really wouldn't feel great, leaving the draft as my one. But like Logan Webb, Aaron Nola, those are guys I'm finding, and I'm moving Blake Snell down in my rankings daily now just because of that. And you know what? Like Gallen's looking real mighty fine. I find me moving up Yoshida. So it's just like I'm just really looking at this, and I'm like, man, that would have been a much better, team, because it would have opened you up. You still would have caught your outfield, because I like the thought process.
Yeah.
Let me get 3 top-end outfielders before I even pick a pitcher. Like, I'm all about that. It's just right now I'm feeling like that strategy has now evaporated because baseball is starting to catch up.
Yeah. I fully agree, by the way. Fully agree.
Yeah, everybody's kind of tuning in. But, it's not like it's outrageous. Honestly, now it's just bat, or bat, and then you need to scoop up a pitcher in the 4th. And in 3 weeks from now, we might be picking a pitcher in the 3rd round, and team construction is going to be different. But this is what we warned everybody about, this is the elevation of ADP and whatnot. So we're seeing that. Blake Snell isn't a terrible start, but he just comes with a lot of risk because Now I feel like there's a desperity to go and get paid. If he signs with the Yankees, I don't like the short porch
Yeah,
for him.
same.
And that's what it's looking like. They offered him 35 million for a year. Like, he might hop on that. There's another team that might do that too. Like, he might just land and then get traded at the deadline too. So like the unsecurity of Snell is really driving him down for me. But let me move on. I spent too much time on him. You know, I love the O'Neal Cruz pick 100%. Like, I'm all about that. To be honest, though, I wouldn't have done it only because you passed up on Grayson Rodriguez. And with Blake Snell's uncertainty, I probably would have got either Grayson or even Logan Gilbert at that point.
I did. I'll tell you this: I stared at Gilbert for a hard minute there. I did stare at him.
Yeah, because I personally, the way I look at it is, it was flowing that way, and you would have left him go, and you would have scooped up either Grayson or Gilbert, and then you could have went with, another. You could have copped another outfielder, or you could have copped like another. Just the Eury Perez. I love. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
and the pick is fine, but I just would have went Grayson or Gilly for a little bit more stabilization for the whip aspect of it.
Over Eury?
Yeah. Yeah, probably Grayson is. I have Grayson over Eury, but
Okay.
um,
I have Eury over both of them.
and I have, for the way this team construction's going for whip, Logan Gilbert would have been a little bit more safe. That's just my look at it, how I'm looking at that. And then I mean, ultimately, it did not wrong though. I mean, it's still, the team turned out fine in that regards. But the triple tap with Bobby Miller is the part I'm really gonna be like, dude, like why?
I'll explain myself the next time. I want you to keep going, doing your
Yeah.
thing, and I'll hop back in. We'll go back and forth in the next segment.
I'm just like, why with the Bobby Miller? Because you already got a really risky, really risky three punch. And Eury Perez, as much as I love him, I think he has the potential to be one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's still that prove it year for me. And to pair him with Bobby Miller with a lot of question marks, it's just not for me. Like, I personally would have gone with, I another thing that I've been doing around 8th, 9th, I've been scooping up closers. It would have been Alexis Diaz, or I just would have really reached out and just scooped up my third outfielder, since I was telling you to pick somebody else. It would have been Nick Castellanos. That would have been a nicer pick there. And then I still would have picked Sonny Gray. I think that was the perfect time to scoop him up, you know? And then the rest of your draft, I have nothing really to complain about. I think after that, you recovered yourself. I love the Pepio pick, the Tanner Scott, the Jose Alvarado, really risky. That's why I was saying, oh, you should go
Yeah,
after
it is.
Alexis Diaz. And the
It is.
reason why is Alvarado couldn't lock down the job last year.
He
And
started off the year like a house on fire. He was the best closer in baseball like the first 2 months, and then after that, he got hurt and came back and just was tough.
that's a story almost every year. So like ultimately it's just, I don't know how long he's gonna be. He's gonna be the closer day one, but that's one of those fringe picks where I prefer to have him as my third or my two. So like again, we're starting to see baseball catch up to us. Our draft philosophy has to change a little bit, and we have to adjust. So that Alexis Diaz pick would have been a lot better for you, and it would have been a real, reliever stabilizer. And then you could have got one of those risky guys. And me and you find guys all throughout the season that we can stream in and be the two. So it's like not a big deal. Plus, when you picked up Yuki, like he's probably going to be your two at that point, and possibly even your one. Like I think that kid is going to be great. He's going to fly up draft boards too by the time we get to
He's very, very
baseball.
talented. I
Yeah.
enjoyed watching him pitch on the first game of spring training.
Yeah. Now, I mean, this isn't an overreaction either. It's somebody that's been on the radar. It's just we wanted to see if he's going to get the role. That's the only thing that's like not like plummeting him into everybody just like talking about constantly. But as he gets more opportunities and he gets named by the biggest draft weekend, we'll see it. But it's funny though, depending on when you're drafting this year, if you have sticklers for Korea, the Korea games or not, you might actually catch a deal. He might be the third guy you're walking away with. So it depends on how you're doing it, because they might not name him until almost opening week for the real opening day. And that might be the weekend before Easter, and boom, you're good to go. And I mean, he might fly up that weekend. It just depends. So like keep an eye out on his ADP, because he's going to be an awesome, awesome sneaky little candidate you can scoop up at the end of the draft because the second he's named is good. Bench looks great. The Nestor Cortez is always a thing. I'm not a Sanchez guy, but I'm also not gonna get mad at you for it because that's your bench. Like
Yeah.
there's a world of possibilities where you drop your whole bench by
Oh yeah.
by the end of the second week. Like
I always say this after you draft, look at your roster and say goodbye to it because it will never look like that again.
Absolutely. Like there's plenty of guys that like may just disappoint, get hurt, change. Everything's gonna fluctuate. It is what it is, and the Wyatt Langford pick is a phenomenal little, upside play. I'm all about it. Kid has a world of talent.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm in a moment. I'm going to give Dom an opportunity to rebuttal, kind of defend himself, and then we'll grade this, and then we'll go from there. But before that, we got a real quick ad break for you. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings you home the winning trophy is always what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything to maintain your vehicle and level up to its peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors got you covered. With over 122 million parts, your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your parts guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all parts you need and the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that dub. Keep your ride or die alive. ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions may apply. eBay guaranteed fit only in U.S. customers. And we are back. And one last thing, Dom.
Of course.
One last thing. I want to give you a little positive feedback.
Okay, sure.
That
I'll take it after getting beat up on.
yeah, it's all right. You might walk a little funny after this last.
Yeah,
part.
I had some comments I was gonna make, but
Yeah.
we're a family friendly podcast here.
Yes. Christopher Morel, I'm loving that as the UT. He's been one of our favorite picks, but we actually haven't had him in a lot of our mock drafts, funny enough. So I love to see him here, and I love the 1-2 punch of Marcelo Ozuna with Morel. It's really nice. I think your bats are stellar, except of Michael Harris. And you did a great job.
Thank you, sir. You want to throw a grade on this one for me before I hop back in here?
I'll give it like a C+.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. So the one big thing that Matt pointed out, and he kind of asked a question, and I said I would jump back into it in this segment here, was the double tap of Eury and Bobby Miller. So the way I kind of looked at this, and it's kind of just a mock draft, and when you're doing a mock draft, you're really not putting your all into it, per se. So my thought process in this draft was I didn't like taking Blake Snell, because as Matt mentioned, things are looking down for Blake Snell at the moment, to not go on a tangent. I kind of just wanted to keep playing the upside game there. I didn't like anybody that was, really there. Joe Musgrove was there, Luzardo was there, and I kind of wanted to try something different. And honestly, Eury Perez has been moving up my draft board a lot, and as Bobby Miller has, and at the moment, they're actually, I think 19. Yeah, I have them at 19 and 20, and then I have Luzardo at 18, right? We kind of know who Luzardo is, and I kind of did the mystery box thing, like, Eury Perez could be anything. He could even be Jesus Luzardo, but I really think that Eury Perez's upside is a lot higher. And then Bobby Miller, kind of like same thing here. They actually, Dave Roberts came out and said they're not doing a 6-man rotation, that was actually false. So, Bobby Miller's still going to get you those week with 2 starts, has 4+ pitches, and I think the 2 of them, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if we're looking at them as like top 15 guys next year. So my thought process was with Snell, Eury, and Bobby, if I can get one of them to be the ace, and then one of them is kind of like around that 2-3, and then the other one can completely bust, I think I would be all right with that staff. But Matt, I really liked what you said in the sense of I think we got to go up around with starting pitchers, as to where I think maybe 3-4 weeks ago we were able to go about 5 bats and then take a starting pitcher, and your team looked really good. I think we got to back that up maybe a couple rounds, because as Matt said, Not really loving the Blake Snell as my one anymore. I think honestly, if he doesn't sign within the next week or so, he's going to fall outside of my top 10, and it's not going to be good for him. But then, I tried to go with a little bit more of sure things with Sonny Gray. I think we kind of know who Savale is at this point in his career. I know Pepio might be a little bit of an upside play, but if you look at him and his minor league track record, I think he's going to be fairly solid as well. Nasty Nestor is another upside play. So I know this rotation is risky, but one thing that I kind of pride myself on, and I know Matt's very good at this as well, we're very good at in-season pickups. That's something that we're always staying on top of, and you should as well. So I think if I think I have 8 starting pitchers. I think if 5 of them wind up being, serviceable throughout the year, like 5 of them will be guys that will stay on my roster, I think I'll be all right. I think I'd be all right in the sense of I'm good at picking up guys and stuff like that. And hey, if you're not, you know what, you lock on with us, maybe you join the Diamond Club. Maybe you need our insights to where, we go very, very, deep when it comes to, streaming starting pitchers and stuff like that. And guess what? Some of those streamers wind up being guys on your roster for the whole season. So that's the kind of strategy I was implementing here was my pitching staff might not be great. So let me play the upside, with a lot of these guys. Hopefully some of them pan out, and I will pick guys up, on the way. Matt was talking about my closers. I'll jump back in on the closers. Love Tanner Scott. Honestly, I need to move him up a little bit more. I was moving him up. I was like deep diving closers the other day, and he was somebody I moved up a couple spots. Got to move him up even a couple more. Alvarado, as Matt said, Matt, is he locked in for day one as the
No.
closer? I don't think so. I know they got a couple of other guys there. I'd have to pull up the roster. I know what's the young kid's name? Orion Kirkling. I think that's his name. He's pretty good.
I think if anything, he won't. Alvarado will probably start the season opening day as the closer. But if Orion decides to turn around and what do you call it? Keep showing that ridiculous movement. Like he has probably one of the best movements on all his pitches in all baseball. I forget which one. But if that thing starts being super effective and he can have a strong year too, he'll probably steal that job out from under him pretty quickly. Or it just takes Alvarado just tweaking something, which is bound to happen as well for Ryan to step in that. They still have Dominguez too, so there's a lot of ambiguity in that bullpen.
Definitely, exactly.
So like ultimately, I don't know if Alvarado's able to hold it down or how long of a leash he's gonna have, especially after losing Kimbrel. So, it is what it is. We're gonna keep getting answers. I really just wish they would have went out and got Hader, but they didn't.
Yeah, so with my closers, I have Scott at 14, I have Alvarado at 16, and then I have Yuki Matsui at 19. So I never go high on closers. That's not something I really ever do unless they fall. I know Devin Williams was falling a lot last year, and he was somebody I was able to get value on. And if I see that, I'll take advantage of it. But when you're doing the mock draft like this, all the teams try and just balance out, and, especially when you're not going up against, actual other people, you're just going up against the computer. They kind of just fill out those rosters. So I think between Scott, Alvarado and Matsui, if 2 of those guys, can get me, through most of the year, I like that. And closers another thing that come and go. So you just got to be active on the waiver wire. Matt, I really don't have too much else I want to say about this team. I honestly give it like a B- if I had to throw a grade on it. I wasn't super happy with the pitching. Actually, I love the hitting. I think the hitting on this team is going to be very good. But I think if I play the waiver wire, this team I always think my teams are going to be contenders, but I'm just, confident in what I do. Anything else you want to add, Matt? Anything else you want to say before we head out?
One last thing.
Yeah, of course.
Matsui will probably be this year's Devin Williams, where you're able to scoop him.
High.
Well, I mean, you think about it. Well, Devin Williams was going, 15 RP last year?
Probably higher than that, I would think.
I don't think he was being drafted as a top 10. If I'm not,
we'll look. We'll let the people know.
But ultimately, you'll be able to get Matsui probably around 15 come draft weekend, and he's gonna probably be nowhere near drafted in this position come 2025. So this is the guy to target as your third or as your second. The more I draft, the more I find myself tapping on that third one just for fun. It makes your especially in head to head that extra little boost in the week, especially if you weren't able to shore up a top end closer at the top. So you'll see as my draft strategy kind of and philosophy changes. I'm like water. I will constantly change every week to try and see what best fits. But yeah, I mean, I'm done rambling. I say let's get out of here.
Yeah, guys, as Matt said, you gotta be adapt. You gotta be fluid. You gotta be like water. Last year, Devin Williams coming off the board, pick 142. So, Matt, yeah, right around 15th closer, it looks like that's where the 15th closer is coming off the board this year. So, it definitely is possible. Guys, Yuki Matsui is going to be very good. That's all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Thank you to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And, guys, till tomorrow, I think we're going to be back with starting our outfielder preview. So, guys, check it out. See you.
Peace.